What's going on, FB fam? It's your man, Dr. Will, and you guys know the deal. Let me know what city, what state, what country you are chiming in from. Even if you're watching this on the replay, let me know what city, what state, what country you are chiming in from. I'm here in the beautiful city of Phoenix, Arizona. So wherever you are in the world, let me know. So let me just set this up real quick as you guys are coming in. Let me know what city, what state, what country you are chiming in from. I need to make sure I can see this on my screen. So, all right, there you guys go. So I need to make sure I can see this on my screen. So make sure you guys can see it. So as you guys are coming in, let me know what city, what state, what country you are chiming in from on this Friday evening, wherever you are in the world. I want to talk to you tonight about building wealth. And if this is an interest to you, then stay tuned because we're going to talk about building wealth. If you know somebody that you've been having a conversation with about building wealth, go ahead and tag them in this video. If you want some people to hear a conversation about building wealth, go ahead and tag them in this video. Share this out on your page. I'm going to be sharing some great information with you tonight. So when we start talking about building wealth, we're living in a time right now, which is in history, a time that it's been the most easiest to build wealth and generate wealth. Right now, in 2023, we are living in a time that's been better in all of history to build wealth. So if you've ever been serious about building wealth, then now is the time. Statistically, we saw a rise in millionaires around the world. We saw a rise historically around the world in the last 2 years. And I want to remind everybody what happened the last 2 years. We were in a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic. So how was it possible in a worldwide pandemic when apparently everything seemed to be shut down around the world and there were 5.2 new millionaires made in that time frame around the world? And we're supposed to be we're in a pandemic. This is not questioning the pandemic. What we want to talk about is questioning a mindset. So when a lot of people were going through the pandemic, they thought it was doom and gloom, where other people went through the pandemic and they saw opportunity to the tune of 5.2 million people becoming millionaires around the world. Here in the United States, where I live, 2.5 new millionaires were created in 2021 in a pandemic. And so how is this possible? How is this possible? Well, definitely, I always like to tell people it starts with a mindset. It literally starts with a mindset. You know, there's a Asian belief about the word crisis, where most people, when they hear the word crisis, they think about doom and gloom. But when an Asian person thinks about crisis, they think about opportunity. They don't only think about the crisis, but they know that inside a crisis is an opportunity. So there's going to have to be some fundamental changes in the way we think about problems, the way we think about obstacles, the way we think about crises. So though there was a pandemic, there were people, 5.2 million of them, thinking about what are the opportunities. So give you an example. During the pandemic, there were companies that were created inside the pandemic, for instance, and they started selling masks and they became millionaires. I literally started a company in the pandemic, started it in July, I want to say July of 2020. So the pandemic started March, right? We went into full blown in March. I started the company in July. And in that time between now and then, I was able to build it to a high six figure company inside a pandemic, because I was thinking totally different. I wasn't just thinking the crisis and the pandemic. I was thinking about what opportunities are there? What opportunities are there? So I don't want to keep you guys long tonight. So let's start talking about this. So I'm going to start up real high. I'm going to start up with assuming you want to become a millionaire. Now, if you don't want to become a millionaire, just pick the number that you want to achieve, right? So whatever that number may be, it could be 100,000, it can be 300,000, it can be 500,000. I just want you guys to learn the principle around what I'm getting ready to share with you, and then implement it into your life where you see fit. But in purposes of this training tonight, we're just going to start with $1 million. Let's start with $1 million. In Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he has a principle in there where he says, start with the end in mind. Start with the end in mind. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to start with the end in mind. So for us, the end is $1 million. Now, once again, you can bring that all the way wherever you want to bring it, but we're going to talk about $1 million. Okay. So let's look at this. If we talk about $1 million, we're going to start with the end in mind. We're going to start with $1 million. That's our goal. Let's say that's our goal. Now, for most of us, when we were going through education, going through elementary, going through junior high, high school, and college, we were taught that the path was to get an education and get a job. And you go get that education so you can get a skill. Right? So up here, I have 3 different categories I want to talk to you guys about. We have category 1, which is product, category 2, which is service, category 3, which is skill. And as I said, that's where most of us were taught to operate, right here in this category of skill. So here's the thing. When we start with the end in mind, if my goal is $1 million, well, here, the average worker is, let's just for numbers sake, the average worker is going to earn $50K a year. Let's say $50K a year. Right? So with the goal being $1 million, if I'm earning $50K a year, it's going to take me 20 years. You're going to get to the million, right? You're going to get to the million. The problem is it's going to be spread out over 20 years. It's going to be spread out over $50,000 a year. Inside of that, you're going to pay taxes and all your expenses. So you're never going to realize that, it's never going to feel like you were a millionaire. But over the course of 20 years, you actually did accumulate $1 million. And so for some of you that are experiencing that right now, you've been working for 20 years, 30 years. Over that amount of time, if you earn $50,000 a year, you've amassed $1 million. And you're probably telling me, well, it sure doesn't feel like it, right? It sure doesn't feel like it. So we want to start looking at some different ideas to approach this. You know, there's a saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? There's more than one way to do something. So if our target is $1 million, we want to look at it totally different, right? We want to look at it totally different. So let's introduce these other 2 categories, service and product. And this is why I say right now, we're living in the best time, because you and I have the opportunity to offer product and service. There was a time where it would have been more difficult to offer, as you know, we have the internet now. And so now we can offer, literally, I can sit here in Phoenix, Arizona, and offer a product and a service literally all around the world. all around the world. Just as a quick example, I write books. So I can partner with Amazon to be my distribution center, to be my print center. So I can partner with them. And they distribute my book literally all around the world. 20 years ago, that wasn't possible. I would have had to go to a major publishing house. They would have had to say, Will, your work is worth publishing. We believe in you. We're willing to get behind you, and we're going to publish your book, and we're going to distribute it, and we're going to help you market the book. That was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Well, I don't need a big publishing house anymore to do that. I can do that by myself. That's why I've been able to publish 50 books, because I don't have to wait for anybody to give me their stamp of approval. You understand that? I don't have to wait. So I could take that product, and if I just wanted to take that product of a book and get to the million, then I have a pathway to getting to $1 million a whole lot faster. Okay, so let's give you, I want to give you an example to look at. I just want to give you an example to look at of how we want to get to the $1 million. And once again, you can break that down any type of way for you. If you're just saying, I want to get $500,000, I just want to get 200,000. But for us tonight, we're going to look at $1 million. So let's look at product. If I had a product that I wanted to sell, and the end goal was $1 million. Let's say my product is $5,000. I have a product, and that product is $5,000. To get to this end of $1 million, I would need to sell 200 of this product. Whatever the product is, I would need to sell 200 of the product. Now, for me, this is just how my mind thinks. There's 8 billion people in the world. I would need to convince 200 of them to get this product for $5,000. Now, if we keep breaking it down, I have 12 months in a year. If I divide 200 by 12, that leaves me with 16, right? 16 people a month. 16 people a month, I would need to convince. And when I say convince, I'm talking about marketing, advertising. I would have to market and advertise this product in such a way that it convinces 16 people a month. Now, I just want you to think about this. Because when we're talking about building wealth, wealth is really just a mindset. It's a mindset. Building wealth is literally a mindset. And if you have the proper mindset, you'll get the proper result. And I want you to understand that you've already done this. Remember, we were conditioned and we were taught a particular mindset. Go to school, get a job, go to school, get a skill, get a job, get a paycheck. So you've already been operating in a certain system already that has proven true. I went to school, I got a skill, I got a job. So you've already proven a formula correct already. So that should give you confidence that if that formula worked, whether you like that formula now that you understand more about it, whether you like it or not, you have results that it worked. You may not have a result that this has worked, but you can borrow from this result. You can borrow from this result and say, man, I've done a process before. If I'm now just willing to do a different process, I'll get that result. So for me, once again, reverse engineering. Will, you want $1 million. Create a product that the market wants, a product at least that 16 people a month would work, that they would want it. And you create a system for that, and I don't want to get too into it, but so I would have to ask myself, okay, How many people a month do I need to get in front of to share this opportunity, this product opportunity? How many people would I need to get in front of? Is it 100 people that's going to get me this 16 people? So then I would need to create a system every month that got me in front of 100 qualified people, meaning that when they heard it, if they liked it, they had the revenue to get it, they had the money to purchase it. Am I in front of 100 qualified people? If I get 16, that's like a 16% closing rate. So if I got in front of 100 people, do I believe I could close 16 of them? Do I believe I could convince 16 of those people to buy my product? And then every month, that's what I would need to do. 100 people, right? I started doing it by month number 3, month number 4. I may even be better at closing, at convincing, at communicating the benefits of this product. And so now I don't need 100, I may need 50. Or as I'm talking to 100 people a month, by month number 3, I have talked to 300 people. By month number 3, I have talked to 300 people. Out of that 300 people, only 45 of them, 45, 46, 47, 48 of them have purchased the product, but I still have 250 people that are aware of the product. And so if I have in our world, we would have a mailing list. So I'm still continuously talking to that 250 people, because some people don't buy when they first hear something. It may take them a month. It may take them 2 months. It may take them 3 months before they are willing to swipe the credit card. But I now have those 250 people that I'm talking to still. And every month I'm adding, right, another 85 to that, because out of the 100, 15, 16 are buying in. So every month that 200 that 250 goes to 330, right? Are you guys getting this? I don't want to complicate it. I just want you guys to see it. So if I'm talking to 100 people a month, by the end of the year, in 12 months, I've talked to 1,200 people. I've talked to at least 1,200 people about this product. I've talked to at least 1,200 people about this product. And it may take me a year to work out all the kinks. So in this process, I may not get my 16 a month, but I may get 5, right? I may get 4, I may get 7, but I'm refining the process. I'm getting better in the process. So let's just say it's going to take me a year, 2 years to hammer this system down. I wouldn't mind if it took me 2 years to learn how to do something, a new skill. And after that, it was going to produce $1 million a year. Does that make sense? Right? So now let's look at service. So we talk about service. Now product, let me say this about product. Product is one of the ones I really like because it takes less time from you. Once you develop the product, you get the product. So for instance, just for us, we have our academy. We have our Speakers Academy. So that's a product. Our Speakers Academy is a product. It's an online course. People sign up for it, and it doesn't require a lot of time from me. It's an online course. So I love that. I love that, I can just go and make sure I'm talking to at least 100 people. That may be 3 presentations, 4 presentations a month, right? So it doesn't have to be big groups. It could be a group of 25. It could be a group of 30. It could be a group of 40, as long as they're qualified buyers. It's not just that I'm talking to 40 people just to be talking to 40 people. I'm talking to 25, 30, 40 qualified people. I do that 4 or 5 times a month. I'm hitting my number, right? And once they've bought it, it requires no more time from me. They've already bought it. Make sense? Now, let's look at a service though. I also have a consulting company. So for my consulting company, when I go into organizations and I work with organizations, the price for that is, let's just say $50,000. right? The price for that is 50,000. Now, how many companies do I need to say yes to reach my goal? How many companies do I need to say yes to reach my goal? I need 20 companies to say yes, right? The same principle about how many people are in the world. I use that same principle about consulting. How many companies are in the world? How many companies are in my state? And I need 20 of them to say yes. That's 2. Let's just say, make it even. Let's say 2 a month. That would be 2 times 12 is 24. So if I had 2 companies a month to say yes, right? 2 companies to say yes a month, I have $1 million. I have $1 million. And so then once again, the same way I created a process over here, I'm going to create a process over here. So what does it look like? How many companies do I need to get in front of for 2 of them to say yes? Maybe that's 20 companies a month that I need to get in front of, and I close 2 of those companies. So as you can see, you have skill where it's going to take you 20 years. Now we're all talking about choice. We're all just talking about choice now. We're talking about making a different choice with the time that we have. So I could take my time. And let's just say, and this is never, because I'm not one of those people that say everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. I don't believe everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, but I do think everybody needs to think like an entrepreneur. Does that make sense? I don't think you have to be an entrepreneur, but I do think you need to think like an entrepreneur. And what do I mean by that? So if you're over here in the skill lane, I'm not telling you to leave the skill lane. You may love being in the skill lane, but if your goal is to build wealth and to become a millionaire, then I need you to know that you need to do this, and then you need to do a little bit of this. And so while you're on the skill, while you're on the job, you can create a product. You can create a product that sells while you're at work. You can create a product that sells while you're at work. And so this is what I'm saying. The time that we're in right now, this information AI revolution that we're in right now, we're in the 4th revolution, right? You had the industrial, you had the steam, you had e-commerce, you had the computer, and now we're in this 4th wave, right? I want you guys to tap into this 4th wave, because this 4th wave is presenting opportunity like never before, like literally never before. So I just want you guys to think about this, where you are, right? Where you are and where you want to be, and then what adjustments you need to make. And so number 1, you need to be aware. You need to be aware of what's going on around you, right? So it's very imperative that you understand that you can't listen to everything and you can't listen to everybody. Like, we were going through a pandemic, and as I just told you earlier, in the pandemic, we had the most millionaires created ever in history worldwide. And we were going through a worldwide pandemic, and we had the most 5.2 million millionaires created in 1 year time frame, in what was being broadcast as the worst time in the world. And we had the most people become millionaires. So be careful what you're listening to. Be careful what's going into your ear gate. You know, the Bible says, guard your heart. Guard your heart. That means guard what comes into you. Guard what you're listening to. Guard what you're listening to, because what you're listening to is what you'll repeat. From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if your heart is getting filled up with it's doom and gloom, it's this and it's that, then that's what you're going to be thinking about. And you're going to be thinking where there can't be any opportunities. While everybody else is thinking about taking advantage, you're going to be thinking about surviving and struggling and all that type of stuff. Where 5.2 million people around the world were saying, oh man, here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity. And so you want to train yourself. You want to train yourself when you start hearing new stuff, like we're hearing AI, instead of thinking about how many jobs AI is going to take away, you need to be thinking about what opportunities are here because of AI. And how can I effectively use AI to build a business, to build my brand, to get my idea out there? How can I use AI to help me figure out where I can find these 200 people so I can close these 16? Like, how can I use AI to help me do that? That's what I'm going to be thinking about. How can I use AI to create a service, right? How can I use AI right now to create a service that's going to help me out? Thinking about different industries. So you want to be aware, and then you want to be able to predict, man, where's this thing going? Where's this thing going? And I always like to use the example. You have to, by now in 2023, you have to understand that everything is going to change. You got to understand that. You got to understand that. Like, we can't get stuck anymore thinking, oh, it can't get any better than this. Oh, this is it right here. This is the cream of the crop. It's not going to change. This is the best that we have to offer. How many of you guys remember when, we had the Walkman? Remember the Walkman? You would make your tape, and man, you thought it couldn't get any better than this. I recorded some songs off the radio. I can now go for a walk. I can now get on the bus, and I can have my tape that I just made right now. It can't get any better than this. Then the CD, the disc, the CD player came, and we went through a little challenge. Wait, but I have all of my tapes. I got what I'm going to do with my tapes. What I'm going to do with my tapes. I invested all that in my tapes. What I'm going to do with my tapes. I got my Walkman, right? Then the disc player came, and then we got our CDs, and then we figured that out. And then as soon as we got comfortable with the CDs, they came out with the MP3 player. And then you were like, but I got all of my CDs. I got all of my CDs. What I'm going to do with my CDs? I got my CD books. The same thing happened with what? DVDs, right? We used to have VHS players, and then we went to DVDs. And we were like, what am I going to do with all my VHS? What am I going to do? And so then you were in between, right? You remember how you had a couple of DVDs, but you had a whole gang of VHSs. And so you're trying to do both. You had your VCR and you had your DVD player. Same thing. You had your Walkman. You had your disc player. You had your disc player and you had your MP3 player. Then we went to the MP3 player. And then now what? Everything is on our phone. We're watching TV on our phone. We're listening to music on our phone. This is what you got to this is what you got to understand. The thing that we do, we're always going to do that. We're always going to watch entertainment. We're always going to listen to music. But how we do that is always going to be changing. How we do that is always going to be changing. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. See, what we do, listen to music. Listen to music. We're always going to do that. How we order food. We're always going to eat food. Food is always going to be a part of us. But the way we order food, remember, now we have DoorDash, we have Uber Eats. It used to be you had to go to the restaurant. Then they came up with delivery service. Now delivery service has become Uber Eats. That's going to change. Maybe it starts getting delivered by a drone. See, don't get stuck and think that, oh, this is it. It's just people now coming to my house, knocking on my door, jumping off my food. No, it's going to change. Whether it's a robot doing it, whether it's a self-driving car that has a robot in it, things are going to change. So you got to be aware. You got to be able to predict, and then you got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to adapt. And the longer it takes you to adapt, the longer it's going to take you to build wealth. The longer it's going to take you to build wealth. So if you have a system in your brain that tells you to reject change and to reject everything that's coming new, it's going to be difficult for you. And so for the people who are hearing about AI and they're afraid, if it makes you afraid, then you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck. But for those of us that embrace it, we're saying, okay, where are the opportunities? Where are the opportunities? How can I infuse this into my life? Because it's going to be a part. Let me share this and I'll let you go. How many of you remember 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when Facebook first came out? And how challenging it was for so many people to adopt and adapt to it. I don't want them knowing my information. I don't want people knowing what I'm doing. I'm not getting on it. People got left behind, right? And so Facebook became at first a social platform. We didn't know that you were going to be able to use Facebook for business. Initially, no one thought we were going to be doing this. Facebook Live didn't exist. I didn't know that I would be able to be in my house reaching the world via Facebook. But as Facebook improved, I adapted. So when I first started off on Facebook, I was just posting. I was posting. Then they let you do graphics, right? Boom, we went into graphics. Then it went into video. Now it's letting you run ads. You got to adapt. And the people who are adapting, see, some people are still complaining about Facebook. Oh, Facebook's messy. And then there's other of us who are making millions of dollars because of Facebook. How is that possible? Mindset. It's millions of people who think it's messy, and it's a million people making $1 million on it. Where's your mind? Right? That's because that's the only difference. That's the only difference. There was a thought, oh, when the TV came out, oh, the TV is going to destroy the world. It's going to mess up the minds of the youth. See, every generation has something that they think is going to mess up the youth. Remember when we were growing up, they thought it was going to be rap music. Oh, rap music is going to mess up the youth. We're okay. Then we started saying, oh, social media is going to mess up the youth. We're okay. Oh, TikTok and this and that is messing up. We adapt. People just keep on going. So you can't have that type of mindset that this is coming to destroy the world. Can't have that type of mindset. If you have that type of mindset, you're always going to reject what's possible. You're going to reject what's available to you, and you're going to waste a whole lot of time. So I already know 5 years from now, I'm going to be doing this, but it's going to look different. I don't know what's going to be the instrument that allows me to talk to you and communicate to you. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know it's going to change. I know it's going to look differently. I don't worry about that. I just worry about this. This is what I'm going to be creating content 30 years from now. The way I distribute that content is going to change. I'm fully aware of that. So I don't get caught up with, if Facebook Live went away today, I just find the next instrument that lets me do the thing that I do. I don't get caught up with, I've been doing this long enough. I don't know if you guys remember, how many of you guys remember Blab? Blab was an online service. It was here and it went away. Right? Meerkat was an online service. It was here and it went away. MySpace was an online service. It was here and it went away. What's the constant? We're the constant. We're the constant. People are always going to be here. We're the constant. The technology is going to improve. The technology is going to get better. So I don't worry so much about what I'm specifically using right now. 6 years ago, we didn't have to worry about lights and ring lights and phone, all that kind of stuff. But on the flip side of that, to be able to do this, you would have had to go into a studio. Now we can create a studio wherever we are. We can create a studio wherever we are. Before, you had to have these big, bulky cameras to be able to do what we're doing right now. The phone that you're watching me on right now, the camera on that phone is 1,000 times better than the camera they were using to make movies in Hollywood 50 years ago. Like, they're literally making movies using phones right now. And so you don't want to be the person that gets stuck. You don't want to be that person that gets stuck You want to be the person that is always evolving and adapting. Always evolving and adapting. So guys, I hope this helped you out tonight, gave you a little something to think about. How can you take this technology, use it? How can you take service and product, go build something, go create something, and start building wealth? Hope this helped you out, guys. Talk to you guys later.